Hello and welcome to Small Business Connections, brought to you by Authentic Networking Downtown Toronto. That's Peter Kelly's Authentic Networking group. You should join it. It's really fun. I'm your host, Bruce Harrett, and my guest today is Graham Reed. Welcome to the program, Graham.
Bruce, thank you so much for having me on. This is such a unique opportunity for me.
Okay, great. Well, you have a story to tell us, so I'm just going to set it up as what I understand is you moved from television production, television performance / production, into being a corporate magician. So tell our audience how that happened in 7 minutes or less. Go.
Okay, I got this. We can do this.
Okay.
So this is all real. I gave up a 10-year career in TV broadcasting. I don't even look at how old is this guy? I'm 34, but I gave up a 10-year career in TV broadcasting.
35. I'm 35.
You're 30. I thought you were 25.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Carry on.
But I gave up a 10-year career in TV broadcasting to pursue. I've always had a childhood passion in magic. I've always wanted to be a magician. And now today I am a professional magician, even during this unique pandemic. But before this, I did work in TV, and I wasn't even a broadcaster. I wasn't in front of the camera. I was a behind the scenes guy. I did kind of all the positions. I got to switch video. I did video playback graphics. And then eventually I shifted gears to creative services, where I spent most of my time creating brands for various TV channels. The biggest thing I ever did, I got to be the lead designer on Bloomberg TV Canada when it launched, which was really cool.
He's wealthy, isn't he?
I think he's got some. Yeah. I think he has a couple of coins in his pocket. Yeah.
So you were actually already doing magic. You were doing electronic magic behind the scenes, making graphic things happen, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My whole brand is basically doing the impossible at a highly skilled level. And that doesn't necessarily mean magic. It could mean video production. It could mean, specifically right now, virtual producing and virtual events. Because as a virtual entertainer, we have now become specialized in doing virtual streaming events. But yeah, I always performed as a magician. I've been performing magic since I was about 11, doing birthday shows. And my main thing was always doing close-up card magic. So you'd see me at restaurants. I do multiple restaurants a week, sharing impossible card magic that would happen in your hands, which seems so foreign now, right? Touching people like that and things. And you would also catch me at corporate events doing the same kind of thing, a walk around strolling, or even doing, I started performing a stand-up comedy mind reading act for after dinner entertainment.
So you did this throughout your career in television, so it was a side gig, was it?
It's always been kind of a side hustle. There was maybe when I was going through college and when I first started in TV would be the biggest dip away from magic because I focused so much on that career at that time because I was so career focused. However, going through media, a big thing for me in those 10 years, I watched so many people lose their jobs. I watched bankruptcies happen. I've had close friends go through 3 bankruptcies. And that's just kind of how TV media works. And I wanted to kind of take control more of my, finances and make sure that the idea is that if you go into a career path like that, it's supposed to be a good thing, a trustworthy thing. So why not try being a real deal wizard, right?
Right, because magician, a lot of people look to that as the fallback in life, right? And so your parents say, well, fine, be in computers or television, but make sure you have a good fallback job like a magician.
Yeah.
Or in my case, musician. I've always been an amateur musician, just something to fall back on,
One of those other things to fall back on.
Yeah. No, well, that's good. So you kept that going. So by the time you decided to make the transition, you were already doing it, and you've got 10, 15 years behind, 20 years behind you. When did you start? You were 11?
I was probably 11 when I would start doing my first shows, for my classroom at the library, wearing my mom's old flower vest with a yellow turtleneck on. Fantastic photo.
Wow. That's kind of pansexual and everything. Very interesting. So were you just seeking attention? Or did you just loved magic? Did you fall in love with magic?
That's a really deep question, Bruce.
Okay. Well,
I
that's
think
for
no.
your therapist, maybe.
No. To be honest, I was highly influenced by my older brothers. Like I have two brothers. My oldest brother is 8 years older than me, and then my middle brother is 5 years older than me. And most people, I think their siblings are a little bit closer than that. So my brothers are very creative. My parents let us kind of do whatever we want. My oldest brother is an illustrator professionally, and he does magazine covers and news articles for things like Owl and Chickadee. And then my middle brother studied film production, so that's kind of how I got it. But they both always would like to play with arts and crafts and magic tricks, and that's how I got fascinated. I just always wanted to try those magic tricks. And being the youngest in the family, of course, I was probably seeking attention always. I'm the ham in the family. I always want to make people laugh and have a good time. I hate tension. I don't like tension.
Me too. I'm the third son of three.
Oh,
Yeah, two older brothers.
And that's why you have this show.
Well, that's why I went into music and writing. I went into the creative arts. They weren't in that. So my getting attention was to be highly creative. So it sounds like you were had a good influence in that and just having creativity around you. So bring us up to speed now. This is a small business connection show. So what is the business of magic? How does that work?
So what I do is I enhance events, right? A lot of these corporate events are just, we're used to a lot, especially an event where you would bring a spouse. This is more specific to an in-person event, right? Those Christmas parties where you bring the spouse and no one necessarily wants to be there. But the best way really is to have like a professional party goer is what I would say is, and someone to bounce around the crowd like a social butterfly, sharing magic, getting people talking and sharing magic. I mean, it just brings out like happiness, and no one gets really frustrated mad when they see a magic trick. I mean, people, they play this stuff like, oh, that makes me so mad, but it's in a fun way. It's like, I think it's better than being scared, right? But in a way it's like comedy, letting loose. So that's what I do. I level up events by adding magic. And right now I've been doing that virtually. So these Zoom meetings and these corporate video conferences are very difficult for businesses, especially to get engagement from everyone at home. And a lot of people are at home with their kids, and their kids are running around in the background. And what better way to have a video conference meeting, get your message across, plus entertain everyone in your business and everyone at home. So I've been tackling that. I've been sharing virtual magic with corporate meetings and functions like that, and really making these video conferences more special than mundane and like a drag, right? Something that people are like, because I don't know, we've all experienced it now. If we're in this virtual world, it's easy to get zoomed out, right?
Yes, distracted, very easy. So would you pop in, like, how do they know whoever's hosting the meeting, like in the old days? I used to do these for 20 years. I did corporate entertainment, by the way. I used to write them. So I'd probably write your lines for you if you came to a show I was doing. But anyway, what we would do is the CEO would get up and do their thing. And then they'd say, okay, we're going to take now over to the next presentation. On would come the little entertainment part, right? Built into. So it was infotainment, right? So there'd be information in the entertainment. Do they ask you to actually put corporate information into your act, or is your act more like a little bit of a, how do you say, little tasty thing that switches the mindset?
My thing currently I'm treating it like a piece of ginger. However, that's what I describe it. You know, like when you have sushi, you take a little piece of ginger to refresh the palate. So that's what I treat it as. I do offer the infotainment. I am pretty good at improvising and bringing in your corporate message and brand, because I actually have started to virtually produce some of these corporate events after doing my virtual magic shows, because learning this virtual magic scape, I've learned all the technology. You know those video game kids that put their face in the screen and they're on Twitch all the time? I've learned all that software and technology so I can apply it to running a really successful corporate event just in like one of these video conference meetings.
Wow. So you've pivoted.
Yes.
You've done the pivot, right?
I immediately, I also host a podcast. So we were hosting a podcast, and that when the NBA shut down and we could still get together, we weren't in total quarantine yet. We did a live stream. It was like a like a news special for magicians in the entertainment world. And we had magicians from all over the world tune in, like stream in live with how it affected them. And we did our first live stream with our podcast. We did it in person, and then we continued doing one every single morning for like 3 weeks after that. So
that should be a movie. That sounds like wild. That sounds like fun. A whole, what do you call them? A host of musicians, or an array of magicians?
A gaggle of magicians.
Gaggle, perhaps.
Yeah.
Listen, we always ask our guests if they have any tips for the viewer, any business tips, that something you've learned maybe in the midst of the pivot, midst of the pandemic, just anything at all about how to run business successfully.
So I think this one is very important, and I've learned this now. I didn't know this right away at the start of the pandemic, but it is building that email subscriber list, especially as an entertainer. This is something that a lot of us as entertainers forget, and maybe other small business owners might not have it implemented in the correct way. Doing these live stream shows, you can get lots of likes, shares, views, and things like that, but it's not, those people aren't necessarily a true fan until they have given you their email list, and you can get into right. Yeah. Right. And you can get into their inbox, and you can really tell them about the services you're offering and how you, and giving them free stuff, a lot of free stuff. So right now I'm giving away, free instructional magic tricks and things. It's not like a spammy subscription email list. It has a lot of value to it. Plus you can find it when I do free virtual magic shows, which is a great way to build the email list as well. To help spread the word, because right now, I mean, my business was solely based in Southern Ontario. I didn't really want to, travel too far, do the cruise ship thing. But right now, it's a global market. I can perform magic anywhere in the world.
Wow, that is so true. I used to work with young musicians. I had a radio show for songwriters, and what I'd say to them is, get 1,000 names. It was from an article that I read. It was probably Fast Company, right? 1,000 emails, not 1,000 names, 1,000 emails. And they say, "Oh, that's old-fashioned, man. Now, what are you talking about? It's all about," and they named TikTok or whatever the latest thing was. But I'd say, they're not subscribed to you. You want them to subscribe to you. And I give these musicians, I say, man, here's an example. I'll give you my email address right now. Make sure you tell me about your next gig. Never heard from them again. So take it from Graham, folks. If you want to build loyalty, you want to build your fan base, create relationships with them. You can do that through the email, because then they've given you permission, and it's by the law. You have to get permission, obviously, right, Graham? I mean, you can't fool around with this. You have to get their permission, and it's called, what is it called? Bespoke permission. No.
Bespoke. But no, I do it all correct. I use the correct software, so everyone is clicking, correct. If people want to know that, I use something called ConvertKit. That's what I'm using right now, but I am trialing out different things. There are things specific for entertainers doing live events, which is so awesome. There's, a lot of people are really jumping into this virtual space. It's very creative.
So what would you say would be the ideal number? Is there an ideal number of email addresses? Like it was 1,000.
Oh, you nailed it. 1,000 is the magic. So imagine you could get 1,000 subscribers, and those 1,000 people could give you $100 in a year. There you go. That's all you need.
Not bad.
That's not that bad. But really, if you were to break it down, your service might be more valuable than $100. So say your service is worth $500. Then divide that number. You don't need 1,000. Then you only need, right? 500 true fans. And how long does it take to make a true fan? You could get a true fan daily. So if we only need 500 true fans, year and a half from now, 2 years, we have all of our true fans. We can put in the work right now, get those true fans. We'll continue to build more and more true fans. But that will be our basis for our business. And it's a great, I was missing out on this for years. I've been performing in public for years, not collecting the email list, always handing out business cards. And that's been effective for me too. It's, the old school, because I would be at restaurants just tossing business cards on people's tables. I'd be busking on the street and you could get business cards. I was busking at farmers markets, targeting those people that would maybe purchase a unique entertainer because they're buying like a unique loaf of bread.
Right. Okay. Bespoke bread. Artisanal. Is it artisanal bread? You're an artisanal artiste magician. I'm so glad you said this. And I'm so glad you finally listened to someone like me and started building your email list. And I'm
Yes.
so
Yeah.
glad you passed that on as someone in their 30s, because I'm actually a little older than 30s. Don't tell anybody. So the email thing sounds old fashioned, but I'm telling you, business people out there, it is not. It's still a standby. It's still a connection. It's still something people don't have to give you. Right. So
Yeah.
we're running out of time. I could talk to you for hours because I'd love to talk about the old days when I used to write these shows, when they were live in big ballrooms and we had musical theater comedy going for an hour with dancers and singers. It was so much fun. Those were the days when they had budgets. Remember that?
Oh,
Anyway,
man.
thank you, Graham Reed, for being with us today. If you need a magician, he's your guy, Graham Reed, and we'll put up your contact information there. For more information, if you want more information about our show, about being on the show, about anything about Peter Kelly, myself, Bruce Harrod, go to Meetup. Remember Meetup. Now, there's still a valuable place because it's virtual Meetup now. Authentic Networkers, downtown Toronto, Peter Kelly. And in the meantime, keep connecting.